Someone was about to sell Elvis Presley's house. The auction had a date. The debt had paperwork. The lender had names. Everything looked real. Except the company didn't exist. The loan never happened. And three of the people behind it were the same woman. But here's the insane part. By the time anyone started pulling the lie apart, Graceland was already heading to auction. So how do you almost take one of the most famous houses in America with nothing but paperwork? It started with a dead woman. Lisa Marie Presley died in January 2023. She was Elvis Presley's only daughter, and after her death, control of Graceland passed into a trust overseen by her daughter, Riley Keough. Then a company appeared, Norsani Investments and Private Lending. And Norsani had a very expensive story. They claimed Lisa Marie had borrowed $3.8 million in 2018. She hadn't paid it back, and according to their documents, she had used Graceland as collateral, meaning if the debt wasn't paid, they could take the house. There was a promissory note, there was a deed of trust, there were signatures, there was even a notary. It didn't look like a scam, it looked like a debt. And that's what made it dangerous, because Norsani wasn't asking the Presley family a question. They were giving them a deadline. Pay $2.85 million, or Graceland could be sold. Now most people would panic. A dead relative, a multi-million-dollar loan, legal documents you've never seen, and one of the most famous houses on earth hanging in the balance. But Riley Keough did something that would eventually destroy the entire scheme. She looked closer, and one name on the paperwork was about to become a massive problem. Her name was Kimberly Philbrick, a Florida notary. According to the documents, Philbrick had witnessed Lisa Marie Presley sign the loan paperwork. That detail mattered. A notary is supposed to help verify the person signing a document, so Riley's legal team checked. And Philbrick's answer was devastating. She said she had never met Lisa Marie Presley, never notarized a document for her, and she didn't know why her own signature was on the paperwork. Stop there, because now we have a loan Lisa Marie's family says never existed, secured by documents, with a notary who says the meeting never happened. That should have killed the story instantly. It didn't, because the lie had already moved beyond a piece of paper. Someone had started building a system around it. A creditor claim was filed, a deed of trust was filed. Then came the move that turned a bizarre financial dispute into something almost unbelievable. A foreclosure notice appeared. Graceland was going to auction. May 23rd, 2024. A real date for a real auction of Elvis Presley's home. And this is where the scheme becomes terrifying, because once a lie enters official-looking systems, people stop asking whether the original story is true. They start reacting to the paperwork. A company name exists. A debt is claimed. Documents are filed. A notice is published. An auction is scheduled. Each new step points back to the step before it. And suddenly, the lie is supporting itself. But there was another problem. When reporters started looking for Norsani Investments, the company became strangely difficult to find. Where was the office? Who worked there? Who was actually in charge? Addresses connected to the company led to postal locations. The business wasn't found in relevant Missouri or Florida corporate databases examined at the time. And then there were the names. Gregory Norsani, Kurt Norsani. Different people appeared to be connected to the lender, except federal prosecutors would later say something extraordinary. Lisa Janine Findley had posed as three different individuals connected to the fictitious company. One woman, multiple identities, one fake lender, and a multi-million-dollar claim against Graceland. Think about how much work that lie had to do. If someone questioned the company, there was a person. If someone questioned the person, there were documents. If someone questioned the documents, there were filings. And if the family still refused to pay, there was an auction date. The lie didn't need to be perfect. It just needed to look complicated enough that someone assumed another person had already checked it. But Riley Q didn't assume. On May 15, 2024, she sued, and now the clock was ticking. 8 days until the auction. The Presley estate argued the loan was fake, the documents were fraudulent, the signatures were forged, and Nalsany wasn't a legitimate lender with a real claim to Graceland. Then came May 22nd, 1 day before the auction. A Tennessee judge had to decide whether the sale could move forward. Imagine the situation. If the auction happened, the damage could be enormous. This wasn't a car, it wasn't a bank account, it was Graceland. The judge looked at the dispute, including the notary's affidavit questioning the authenticity of the signature, and the sale was stopped. Graceland would not be auctioned the next day. The lie had finally hit a wall. And then, the mysterious lender did something very strange. Someone appearing to represent Nalsany said the company would withdraw its claim. Millions of dollars supposedly owed. A famous property supposedly securing the debt. And now, they were backing away. But it was too late. Because by this point, everyone was asking the same question. Who was actually behind this? Federal investigators followed the trail, and in August 2024, Lisa Janine Findley was arrested. According to prosecutors, the pieces of the Graceland scheme led back to her role in the plot. The fictitious lender, the fabricated loan documents, the forged signatures, the false creditor claim, the fake deed of trust, the foreclosure notice, and the multiple identities. But there's one thing about this story that still doesn't make sense at first. Why Graceland? Why target a property connected to Elvis Presley? A house known around the world, a place surrounded by lawyers, media attention, and millions of fans. It sounds like the worst possible target. Unless the fame was part of the pressure, a massive name, a massive property, a multi-million-dollar debt, a public auction. The bigger the story looked, the more urgent it felt. Pay now, fight later. Except the family fought now, and the entire thing began to collapse. In February 2025, Findley pleaded guilty to mail fraud. In September, she was sentenced to 57 months in federal prison. Graceland stayed with the Presley family. The auction never happened, and the fake lender disappeared as a threat. Easy ending, right? The criminal was caught, the house was saved, the system worked. Except, I don't think that's the scary part of this story. The scary part is that there was an auction date at all. Think about it. The alleged loan wasn't real. The lender was fictitious. The documents were fabricated. The signatures were forged. Multiple people connected to the company were actually personas used by one woman. And yet somehow, May 23rd, 2024 existed on the calendar as the day Graceland was supposed to be sold. Now remove Elvis Presley from the story. Remove Graceland. Imagine the paperwork has your mother's name. The property is your house. And the auction is next Thursday. You don't have famous lawyers. Reporters aren't calling. Millions of fans aren't watching. Would you find the fake signature? Would you track down the notary? Would you question whether the company itself was real? Or would you see legal documents, a debt, and an auction date, and assume someone else had already checked? Because that's the engine behind a good lie. It doesn't need everyone to believe it forever. It only needs the right people to stop asking questions for long enough. So be honest. Would you have caught it? Would you?